G'day guys, welcome back. In this week's video, I'm going to be talking about some tips and tricks to stay safe while off-road. Whether that be while you're out four-wheel driving or camping out in the bush. Let's get into it. Big one in staying safe is making sure that your car is regularly maintained. That's with regular services and addressing any issues that may arise. Riley regularly services both of the cars. It does help that he's a mechanic. I know that it can be hard for people to take cars to get serviced, and it can be quite a costly expense, but it is important, and that's something that you sign up for when you buy a four-wheel drive. Regular maintenance to your car can even include as little as washing your car, getting all the dirt off it. Dirt getting in your car in places it's not supposed to be is a bad thing. We use Salty Captain's cleaning products to keep our cars fresh and clean after hitting the tracks and to help us prevent any issues. Use code CO4D15 for 15% off your purchase. Another point on vehicle prep is making sure that your tyres are all good, whether that is when you're driving on the beach, making sure that they are at the right PSI. So lowering your tyre pressures. And it's also important to keep a spare tyre on you in case you get a flat one or anything happens when you're off-road. If you're going out four-wheel driving and even when you go out camping, it is important to have recovery gear with you. You never know what could happen. You could end up stuck, and if you're out in the bush, you could be there for a couple of days. That includes having snatch straps, shovels, max tracks. A winch is another good recovery tool. It's not an essential, but it can come in use at times. And in the unlikely events that you do get stuck, it's always important to have extra fluids, whether that is extra water for yourself and the car, and also extra fuel, oils for your cars in case anything major does happen. When we go out, we both have extra water in our cars, both for the car and for us. We take a big 10-litre jug if we're going for a night or so, and if we're going for longer than that, we'll take a couple of jugs of water for drinking water. Not only should you take extra fuel and oil for your car, you should also have spares. If your car has a known issue that can regularly happen to it, make sure you take spares for it. Also, make sure you take tools. Recently, we went out on a day trip to Avon Valley and we nearly got stuck. Luckily, we were in town in 2J, so we were able to go and buy some tools to fix Riley's car. But it is always important to carry some spares and tools with you in case something does happen, because if we were out in the middle of nowhere, it could have been a big issue and we might have gotten stuck. It is also important to be able to communicate with people, whether that is a two-way radio in your car or even a satellite phone, which can come in use if you're going off-grid, just in case of an emergency. Also, taking offline maps or even paper maps, go back to old school days, because you can't always rely on your phones. If you have a Starlink or something like that, you obviously have a little bit more options. But for those that don't, it is always important to take those extra few steps, including letting people know where you're going, just in case something does happen and you don't return. So another thing to think about is personal safety, whether that is keeping track of weather updates, knowing what the weather's going to be like before you head out, because you don't want to get stuck out somewhere. There could be a flood, there could be a storm. That never answers for good news. Always carrying a first aid kit. We have first aid kits in both of the cars. They're actually due for an update, so I'm going to include some clips now of me updating our first aid kit and what we've got in them. All right, we're going to be having a look at our first aid kits now. So this is the one out of my Ranger. It's quite small, fits perfectly into my backseat organisers in my car, and it's got pretty much everything in it. This is a newer one, so we haven't used very much in it, so it's pretty much fully stacked. And this is the one out of the Patrol. This one is quite a lot older, so that it is missing a lot of the things, and I have a feeling that a lot of the stuff in it is actually expired. So we're going to go through and get rid of everything out of this, and I've actually picked up a new one from Audi. I picked up this one for $16, and it comes with pretty much everything in it that is needed. There's just a few small things that I want to add to it. But yeah, as you can see, that's what it looks like. I've already added some medication to it that I like to take extra with us. Normally when we go places, I will take a toiletry bag with stuff in it anyway, but it is always good to have a couple of spares of Panadol and Nurofen, some hay fever tablets, bits and pieces like that. So anyway, we're going to head to the shops today and grab the rest of the stuff that's missing out of them. Normally I like to put in some bigger bandages and stuff. For some reason they don't tend to be in there for like snake bites and that. So I'm going to chuck them in as well, and a few other bits and pieces. But anyway, let's go to the shops and get everything we need. I'm back from the shops and I've got my little haul here. I will say, if you want to set up a first aid kit from scratch, be warned, it is very expensive. I spent $120 today on bits and pieces for these first aid kits. I will say I got like double of most of the things because there's 2 of them. Some of it is just medication that is obviously not required for a first aid kit, and it's just personal preference that I like to put in there, but it can be quite expensive. But anyway, let's go into what I got to add to our first aid kits. We'll start with all the more actual first aid stuff. So I got a snake bite tension bandage. Unfortunately, they only had one of these at the chemist, so I will be keeping an eye out to get another one. For some reason, the first aid kits don't come with these, which I think is quite strange. Yeah, I think this is a necessity when you're out in bush. And then I just got another bigger bandage as well, because the kits only have little tiny ones about this big. And then I got some little steri strips. These are good to close the skin if you have like a wound that's open. And then I just got some paper tape as well. There was one in the other kit, but just got one for both of them. All right, so that stuff alone was like $40. So if you think about if you're going to get all the other bits and pieces, that's where it does add up. And then anyway, we'll go into the more medication side of things. So I got, this is still probably a good first aid thing to have, Stingo's gel. Any insect bites. I got obviously 2 of them, so we can have one in each kit. It's just easier. I find it that way instead of having to take kit out of the car and transfer it from car to car, just having one in each car. But yeah, so 2 Stingo packets. Some Telfast. I got 2, 1 for each. I suffered from quite bad hay fever, and these tablets actually don't always work the best for me, but it's better than having nothing. So I'm going to chuck them in the kit. Some hydrolytes. Good if you are dehydrated from vomiting or diarrhea or anything like that. Good to pop in there. Even cheeky hangover. It does say that on the packaging, which I think is quite funny, but good to have those. And then lastly, I just got a big pack of strepsils to split up to put in for any sore throats or anything. And that was my haul. So yeah, that was $120, which is pretty crazy to think about. So I would say it's definitely easier to get the pre-made kit. So I only spent $16 on this, and then adding the few other bits and pieces to it. And obviously, like I said, you don't have to go as overboard as I did. It's just a personal preference. I like to put all that extra medication in it. Something else that I want to bring up is that I think is very important is having some knowledge of first aid, whether that is to keep yourself safe, those that you're traveling with, and even other people on the road. You could come across someone needing help, and just having a few ideas about what you're doing can actually save someone's life. I think that if you're going to go traveling, maybe go and look at doing a first aid course or just doing some research so you actually know what you're doing, because sometimes doing the wrong thing can make the situation worse. So I think that's very important to keep in mind. But anyway, I'm going to chuck this all in the kits now, and then they're ready to go back in the car.
Hey guys, sorry for interrupting this video. I just wanted to let you know that our website is now live. You can head to it here through this QR code, or down below in the description there is a link that will get you straight to our website. Another one, guys, if you're wanting to support us, the best things you can do is liking and subscribing to us. I know it's a cliche thing and everyone says it, but it does help us a lot. It helps us keep creating these videos, and it helps us get out here a lot more. Cheers, guys. I'll let you get straight back to this video.
So clothing and supplies is another big one. Making sure that you're wearing appropriate clothing for where you're going, whether that is sun-safe clothing if you're going to be out in the sun, or vice versa if you're going out in winter, making sure that you're having warm enough clothing. Also having spares in case something does happen where you get wet or you get stuck overnight, and also having extra food and water like I mentioned before, just in case anything does happen. Also, in the event that if you do get stuck, make sure you stay with your vehicle. That is such a big thing. People think that they'll be better off leaving their vehicle and trying to go find help, and that's when they get lost out in the desert and then they're never found. So if you do break down, make sure you stay with your vehicle. You have everything that you need with you. Why would you leave it? Eventually you'll get found, and that's why it's also important to carry extra stuff with you. All right, I'm going to talk some more about camping specific things that you can do to keep safe, like choosing a safe campsite. If it does not feel right to you, don't stay there. Trust your gut instincts. Your body is telling you that for a reason. There have been times where we probably shouldn't have stayed in specific places and things have happened, and it just goes to show, trust your gut. Another big thing is being specific about where you're camping, making sure that you're in a safe location, whether that be not parking under the trees. I have seen so many cases of trees falling on cars, and that is just absolutely horrific, especially if for us being in a rooftop tent, that's scary to think about. Also, like I mentioned before, being aware of weather. So in summer, keeping an eye on fire warnings and also following fire warnings, not having fires when you're not allowed to is a big thing. We need to keep not only yourself safe, but everyone else safe out there as well. I also hate to see when I get to a campsite, rubbish everywhere. It's one of my biggest pet hates. So please take your rubbish with you. If you bring it in, take it out with you. There's been so many times when we've gone to campsites and there's broken glass everywhere, and it just really affects everyone else's camping experience. You have to be mindful, like you have to wear shoes and being mindful of stuff like that. There's also cases where people leave their fires hot, where that poor boy burnt his feet because they didn't put the fire out properly. It's just things like that, being mindful and thinking about other people as well. Some forward driving tips for you guys. Always drive to the conditions. Try and stay on the tracks as much as you can. Not only does it protect the environment, it also stops from any incidents happening like getting bogged because you don't know what the track is like. And that also goes into the factor of knowing your limits. If you're unsure about something, get out and walk it. Obviously, there are instances where you cannot do that, like up north, where you have big salty crocodiles that can come and eat you. But always walk your tracks if you are not sure. You never want to put yourself in a situation that you could have prevented. When you're in a convoy off-road, make sure that you leave enough space between vehicles in case someone does brake. You don't want to rear-end them. That is never good. We have had that happen to us before, and it's not great. Luckily, no one was hurt in this situation, but you want to make sure that you leave enough space for anything to go wrong. All right, guys, that brings us to the end of the video. Don't forget to comment down below. Let me know if I missed anything or if there are any other tips that you guys use when you go off-road to keep yourself safe. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll catch you in the next one. Cheers for watching.